It was a text message, not a call, not even an email, a text from my college friend Janice, sent at 2:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. Sarah, is Emma having a good time at the party? Just saw the piñata. Your mom really went all out, LOL. I was sitting at my desk. It was actually a really normal moment. I was in the middle of reviewing a compliance audit for work, and the second I read that text, my stomach just dropped. My 7-year-old daughter Emma's birthday party that my mother had thrown, without telling me, without me. Hi, I'm Sarah Chen, 38 years old. I work in HR operations and compliance for a mid-sized financial services firm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a single mom. Emma is my life. She's also my responsibility, my priority. And according to my mother, apparently that last part wasn't going to matter anymore. What happened over the next 3 weeks didn't just cost me my relationship with my mother. It nearly cost me my daughter. If you want to know what happened next, keep listening. My mother, Patricia, is the kind of woman who lives for appearances. She always has been. But she got worse after she remarried 2 years ago. See, my father passed away when I was in my 20s. Pancreatic cancer. Brutal. Fast. And for years it was just my mom, my sister Megan, and me. We weren't rich, but we were solid. My parents both worked. Dad was a contractor. Mom was a nurse. They taught me and Megan how to work hard, manage money, take responsibility. Megan, though, she never really took that lesson to heart. I'm not trying to be cruel about my own sister. I'm really not. But Megan is 5 years younger than me, and by the time she was in high school, she'd figured out something I never did. If you were charming enough, people would take care of you. She didn't graduate college. She's had maybe 4 or 5 jobs in 15 years. She asks my mother for money constantly, and every time, my mother says yes. Meanwhile, I went to UNC, got my degree in business administration, worked my way up to a compliance management position, bought a modest house in South Charlotte, and raised my daughter solo after her father wanted no part of parenting. And do you know what my mother used to say about that? You make it look so easy, Sarah. Not everyone can just handle everything alone like you do. It sounds like a compliment, but it never felt like one. The implication was always there. I was capable, sure, unnaturally capable, cold maybe, disconnected from what really mattered. When Emma was born, my mother actually suggested, I'm not exaggerating, that maybe Megan should be listed as an emergency guardian because Megan was more nurturing, and I was too focused on logistics. I had just finished 36 hours of labor. I said no, but I never forgot it. That kind of comment, it sticks with you. 2 years ago, my mother met Rick at a book club. He owned a commercial real estate development company, or so he said. Turns out it was more of a startup that wasn't actually starting, but Rick had money, and enough confidence to make Patricia believe he had way more than he actually did. They got married within 9 months, and suddenly, my mother had a new priority, showing Rick off, showing her new life off, new house in a gated community, new car, new jewelry. Instagram became her personality. And Megan? Suddenly Megan was the golden child all over again. Megan came to all the family dinners. Megan got introduced to Rick's clients at charity galas. Megan had a new closet's worth of clothes that Patricia bought her. I was somewhere else. I had Emma. I had my job. I had a life that was full and real and didn't require anyone's approval. That was my mistake, I think. Thinking that would be enough. 3 weeks before Emma's birthday, my mother called. It was a Saturday morning. I was at Emma's soccer practice, sitting in my car, scrolling emails on my phone. Sarah, hi, it's Mom. I knew it was her. We had her number memorized, but she always announced herself like I might forget her voice. Hey Mom, what's up? There was a pause, and I heard something in that pause, a rehearsed quality, like she'd planned what she was about to say. I want to throw Emma a really special birthday party this year. A big one. She's turning 7. It's such a milestone. Rick and I want to host it at the house. I was genuinely touched. My relationship with my mother was strained, sure, but it was never mean-spirited, and Emma adored her grandmother. That sounds really nice, Mom. Emma would love that. We could plan it together. Oh, I've already started planning. I'm thinking Saturday, May 18th. Backyard setup. Bounce house, professional catering. I'm inviting the whole family, a lot of the neighborhood kids, a few of our friends. Again, it sounded great. Excessive, probably. That's not really how I raise Emma. Modest celebrations, homemade cake, quality time. But I'm not unreasonable. I know kids like big parties sometimes. That sounds wonderful. Count me and Emma in. Another pause. Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I think it would be better if Emma comes, obviously. But I was thinking it might be nice if you didn't. I literally sat there. I think I needed to make sure I'd heard her correctly. I'm sorry. What? You have a tendency to be a little controlling about the details, Sarah. I know you don't mean to be, but you're very logistics focused. And on her birthday, I think Emma should just relax and be a kid. Be around her grandmother and her family and just have fun without worrying about what Mom thinks is the right way to do things. I could not believe what I was hearing. Mom, she's my daughter. Of course I'm coming to her birthday party. I'm her grandmother. This is my gift to her. And frankly, I think your presence might make her self-conscious. She might feel like she has to perform for you, the way she always does. She performs for me. That one landed. What are you talking about? Emma doesn't perform for anyone. She's 7. Emma is very aware of your expectations, Sarah. I think one afternoon where she can just be herself, without that pressure, would be really special for her. I hung up after that. Not aggressively. I just said, Mom, I'm going to think about this. And I ended the call. I sat in my car for probably 10 minutes. Then I called my sister. Megan, is Mom asking you to Emma's party? Yeah, she told me last week. It's going to be sick. Rick hired a photographer. There's going to be those chocolate fountains. I didn't let her finish. Is she asking you to come? Duh, of course. Why? And I heard the answer I needed. My mother wasn't just throwing a party. She was making a statement. I told myself I was going to handle it gracefully. I was going to have a calm conversation with my mother, explain that excluding me from my daughter's birthday was inappropriate and we'd move past it. I am very good at conflict resolution in a professional context. In my own family, less so. For 2 weeks, I didn't call her back. And she didn't push, which, in retrospect, was the second red flag. The Friday before the party, I got a text from my mother. Emma is so excited for tomorrow. She picked out her outfit. Just wanted you to know she's really happy. It was designed to make me feel like I was the problem, like I was choosing to miss Emma's happiness. But then, and this is the part that actually hurt, Emma didn't seem to notice anything was wrong, because 7-year-olds are amazing like that. They live in the present. My mother had told her that it would be a special surprise party, just with Grandma, and Emma bought it completely. I drove her to my mother's house the morning of the party. Emma was in a new dress my mother had bought her, and she was just vibrating with excitement. She asked me if I wanted to help her pick out a gift to give to all the kids to take home. No, baby, I said. Grandma's doing all of that. And that was the moment I realized what this actually was. It wasn't just about excluding me. It was about reframing the entire event as Patricia's achievement, Patricia's generosity, Patricia's love. I was the obstacle to that narrative. I drove home, went into my home office, and tried to focus on work, but I couldn't. I was checking the time, imagining what was happening. By 2:47 p.m., when Janice's text came through, I was already spiraling. I read the photo she'd sent 3 times. There was Emma, standing in front of an enormous piñata shaped like a unicorn, her face frozen in that serious, focused way she gets before she swings. Behind her, my mother and Rick, both grinning. Beside them, Megan, holding a margarita. Behind all of them, a yard full of people, neighbors, extended family, Rick's colleagues, and Emma was having a genuinely good time. That was the worst part, actually. She wasn't sad. She wasn't asking where I was. She was just happy with all these people who weren't me. I texted Janice back. Thanks for the photo. Then I sent my mother a text. Got the photo. Looks lovely. I'm going to pick Emma up at 6. She didn't respond for an hour. When she did, it just said, sure, she's having a blast. And that was the moment I understood that this wasn't a one-off decision. This was a plan. Emma came home that evening absolutely wired on sugar and adrenaline. She told me every single detail about the party. The piñata, the bounce house, the photographer, the custom cake with her name in literal gold leaf. She told me about conversations she'd overheard between my mother and Rick's business partner. She described what everyone wore. She did not ask why I wasn't there. I got her through bedtime, and then I sat at my kitchen table with a glass of wine and my phone. And I did something I normally don't do. I checked my family group chat. My mother had posted 17 photos from the party. 17. Most of them featured Patricia or Emma, or Patricia and Emma, with my mother's hand on Emma's shoulder, or Emma hugging her grandmother. There were captions. My beautiful granddaughter turned 7 today. So grateful for this special afternoon surrounded by family and love. She had not mentioned me once, but the comments were where things got interesting. Aunt Linda, what a special day. Patricia, you really outdid yourself. Cousin David, love seeing Emma so happy. She has the best grandma. And then, from my Aunt Susan, my father's sister, beautiful party. Is Sarah working today? That single question changed everything, because my mother didn't just answer it. She replied to the entire group, and I watched in real time as she typed out, Sarah had other commitments. But Emma wanted to focus on being a kid today without mom's logistics getting in the way, lol. Sometimes kids need that space to just be themselves. The lol made it worse. It was casual, dismissive, like I was a helicopter parent who needed to back off. Within an hour, the chat blew up. Megan, honestly, I think it's good for kids to have independence. Mom's always so on top of everything. Aunt Linda, I agree. Children need to relax around their parents. My cousin Rachel. Wait, Sarah didn't come to Emma's party? And then someone, I still don't know who, took a screenshot of that entire exchange and sent it to someone else, who sent it to someone else. And by 9 p.m., I had individual texts from people I barely talked to anymore, asking if I was okay or if there was drama with my mom. One of them was actually concerned, but most of them were just curious, and that curiosity felt like a spotlight. I put my phone down. I didn't look at it again until the next morning, when I had 32 new messages. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was picking Emma up from school on Monday and realizing that 3 other parents had approached her to ask if her mommy was too busy for her birthday. That one child had told Emma that her mommy must not love her as much as grandma does. Emma didn't cry about it. She was confused. She asked me if that was true. I held her in my car for 20 minutes and told her that people sometimes say hurtful things when they don't have all the information, and that I loved her more than anything in the world, and that sometimes grown-ups make mistakes about how to handle things. I didn't throw my mother under the bus, but I also made sure Emma understood that she was not the problem. That night, I called my attorney, not my mother, not my sister, my attorney. The call came on Thursday morning. I was in a meeting, and my assistant texted me that my mother was calling. I ignored it. She called back 3 times in 20 minutes. I stepped out of the meeting. "Hi, Mom. Sarah, hi. We need to talk." Her tone had shifted. It wasn't casually cruel anymore. It was serious, almost urgent. "Okay, what's going on? Can you come by the house tonight? Just for an hour. I want to discuss something with you and Rick." Everything in me tensed up. "I'd prefer to talk now." "What's this about?" A pause. "It's better if we do it in person. Can you come at 7? I said I would, and I hung up. I called my attorney immediately. Her name is Jennifer Cross, and she's a family law specialist I'd called to get advice about custody documentation years ago, just to have a paper trail, to be prepared. I'd never actually needed her. I explained the party situation, the exclusion, the family chat, the comments Emma heard. "And now she wants to meet?" Jennifer asked. "Tonight. In person. With Rick. Don't go alone. Would a friend work?" "Yeah, my best friend Jason. He's in tech. He's detail-oriented. He can help me remember things. Have him meet you in the car before you go in. Tell him to help you document the conversation. If they say anything about Emma, her well-being, custody, anything at all, I want to know." I know that sounds extreme. Looking back, I wonder if I overreacted, but something about my mother's tone had changed. She wasn't playing anymore. I drove to my mother's house that night with my heart in my throat. The house is impressive. I'll give her that. Rick's money is everywhere. Marble in the foyer, a chandelier that costs more than my car, a renovated kitchen that Patricia uses to meal prep for her book club, and maybe cook Emma chicken tenders once a month. Patricia and Rick were waiting in the living room. My mother was sitting on the edge of the sofa, perfectly put together as always. Rick was standing by the window, and he looked agitated. "Thanks for coming," my mother said. "Of course. What's going on?" Rick spoke first. "Sarah, I'm going to be direct. I have a business opportunity, a really significant one, a development project that could bring in serious return, but I need capital, quickly." I felt my stomach shift. "Okay, I'm asking some of my trusted people to co-sign a line of credit. It's a short-term loan, maybe 18 months, then we're out. Big return, and everyone wins." He pulled out a folder. Inside was a loan application and promissory note. "You're asking me to co-sign a loan," I said. "I'm asking you to help the family," Patricia said. "This business is going to set us up for years, Sarah. Your sister has already agreed to help." That landed like a punch. "My sister can't even balance her own checking account. She's willing to support her family," Rick said. "We hoped you would be too." I looked at the numbers. It was substantial. "We're talking $75,000. I need to think about this. I'd really prefer an answer today," Rick said. "That's not how I work. I review financial documents. I consult with advisors. I make informed decisions." Patricia stood up. "This is about Emma." "What? If we're asking you to do this, it's because you're her mother. You want the best for her, right? A secure family? Financial stability?" I couldn't believe she was even trying this. "Emma has financial stability because I work, I budget, and I'm responsible. You won't even co-sign a loan for your family," Patricia said. "I won't co-sign a loan for a startup development company with a business owner I don't know, and a plan that hasn't been verified by any professional analysis. That's not being unsupportive. That's being smart." Rick's jaw tightened. He looked at Patricia and did a small nod. "There's something else," my mother said. "We want to add you to Emma's guardianship papers as a secondary guardian. This is just being prepared, just in case anything ever happens to you." "Absolutely not. You won't even let us protect. I have a will. I have legal documentation. I have a trust fund for Emma. If anything happens to me, everything is already designated. She's covered." "Well, now you'll have us on the papers as well," Rick said. "It's just a precaution." What he meant was, we want legal leverage. And I understood, in that moment, what had just happened. The party wasn't the play. The party was the test. And now that I'd failed by resisting the party, they were moving to the second phase. "I'm not signing anything," I said, "and I think I should leave." "Sarah," Patricia reached out. "No, I'm done here." I walked out of that house, got in my car, and called Jennifer before I even started driving. "They asked me to co-sign a business loan and add them to Emma's guardianship papers," I said. There was a long silence. "Don't sign anything. Don't respond to any documents. And Sarah, I'm going to file a protective custody order first thing tomorrow, just to establish a record. Is that necessary?" "It is now." By Monday morning, I had an email from a law office office I'd never heard of, Henderson and Associates. It was a letter to me from an attorney representing Patricia and Richard Maldonado regarding guardianship petition for minor child Emma Sarah Chen. The letter explained that Patricia and Rick were filing for temporary guardianship, citing concerns about my ability to make appropriate decisions in the minor child's best interest, specifically regarding financial opportunity and family stability. They were actually doing it. They were actually filing paperwork to take custody of my daughter. Jennifer called me immediately. I got a copy. They just filed. The good news? It's frivolous. You have full legal custody. This gets dismissed in a heartbeat, but I need to show they have a pattern. I need to show that this isn't a good faith concern. It's retaliation. For what? For refusing to sign a loan, for boundary setting, for being the adult in the room. Jennifer had me come to her office that afternoon. We sat in a conference room, and she walked me through everything. They're banking on you panicking, Jennifer said. On you offering to sign the loan if they back off the guardianship claim. It's leverage. Can they actually get custody? No. You have full legal custody, an appropriate home, stable employment, and no record of anything that would concern family court. These allegations are vague and baseless. A judge will throw this out, but it'll be public. It will, and that's going to be uncomfortable. But Sarah, you're also going to look reasonable. You're going to have documentation. You're going to have an attorney. And when I subpoena the communications, the party exclusion, the group chat, the pressure to sign the loan, it's going to be very clear what the actual issue is. I nodded, but my hands were shaking. We need to schedule a preliminary hearing. They'll have to explain to a judge why they believe you're an unfit mother. And then you can respond. And then, well, let's see what the judge says. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks out. In those 6 weeks, my mother did not contact me. Neither did Rick. But my sister texted me twice, saying I was being dramatic, and that Patricia was just trying to help. I didn't respond. Emma asked about her grandmother. I told her that Grandma was busy, and that it wasn't about her. Emma seemed to accept that, but I was watching for any shift in her, any sign that my mother had been contacting her or trying to manipulate her. There wasn't one. Emma's life was the same. School, friends, soccer, time with me, time at her dad's house. Every other weekend, he was absent from all of this, which tells you something about the whole situation. The week before the hearing, I sat down and documented everything. Every text, every email, every piece of evidence, the party exclusion, the group chat photos, the comments from family members, the text from my mother saying Emma could be herself without me, the loan documents, the guardianship petition, the vague accusations of poor decision-making. I printed it all out. I organized it chronologically. It was 37 pages. Jennifer reviewed everything with me 2 days before the hearing. This is good, she said. This is really good, because what we're seeing here is a pattern. Party exclusion, social media humiliation, then escalation to financial leverage, then guardianship threat. This isn't about Emma's welfare. This is about punishing you for not cooperating. Can you use that in court? Absolutely. I'm going to file a motion to dismiss, obviously, but I'm also going to attach these documents as an exhibit. I want the judge to see the arc. I want them to understand that this is retaliation. We also discussed something else. The language in their guardianship petition was suspicious. They claimed I made decisions that were financially irresponsible and detrimental to the minor's welfare, but there was no specific example, no incident, no documented concern from anyone, not Emma's school, not her pediatrician, not anyone with actual knowledge of how I parent. They're fishing, Jennifer said. They're hoping you'll panic and sign the loan to make it go away. What if the judge doesn't dismiss? Then we go to trial, and I will make them explain to a judge, under oath, why they really filed this petition, and they won't be able to, because the real reason is that you wouldn't co-sign a loan. The night before the hearing, I didn't sleep. I ran through all the scenarios in my head. What if the judge wasn't sympathetic? What if they saw me as a controlling mother who was hiding something? What if my refusal to co-sign the loan made me look unsupportive? But then I remembered what Jennifer said. You're the adult in the room. You're going to sound like it. The hearing was at the courthouse in downtown Charlotte on a Thursday morning in early July. I wore navy, no jewelry except my watch. I brought Emma's school photos, a copy of her report card, all A's and S's for satisfactory, and my own employment records showing stable income. Patricia and Rick were there with their attorney, a thin man in an expensive suit named Douglas Hendricks. The judge, Margaret Weiner, was probably in her 60s, and she had the kind of face that doesn't give much away. We're here regarding a petition for temporary guardianship filed by Patricia Maldonado and Richard Maldonado regarding minor child Emma Sarah Chen, Judge Weiner said. Is that correct? It is, Your Honor, Hendricks said. Ms. Chen is the child's biological and legal custodial parent? Yes, Jennifer said, and this petition is requesting temporary guardianship on what basis? Hendricks stood. We believe the minor child's custodial parent is not making decisions in the the child's best interest. We have concerns about financial irresponsibility and can you be more specific? Judge Weiner asked. She has refused to invest in family financial opportunities, Hendricks said. Judge Weiner looked at him for a moment. Mr. Hendricks, are you asking this court to remove custody of a child from a fit, employed parent because that parent declined to invest in a family business venture? Well, because that's not a legal basis for guardianship, and I felt my shoulders drop. We also have concerns about her capacity to make. Do you have documentation of a specific incident where this parent failed to provide appropriate care? Medical records? School reports? Any indication from child care providers, teachers, family, anyone with direct knowledge of this child's well-being? Hendricks looked at Patricia. Patricia looked at the judge. Then she looked at me, and she knew. We have concerns, Hendricks said weakly. Concerns are not evidence, Judge Weiner said. I'm going to ask you straight. Is there a specific incident you can point to that demonstrates this child is in danger or receiving inadequate care? Hendricks said nothing. That's what I thought. I'm dismissing this petition, and I'm issuing a warning. Petitions filed without factual basis waste the court's time. Don't do it again. It took about 90 seconds. Emma stayed with me. After the hearing, Jennifer and I went to her office, and she got to work on a cease and desist letter. But she also did something I hadn't asked for. She subpoenaed the communications between Patricia, Rick, and their attorney related to the guardianship petition and the loan. What we found was illuminating. An email from Rick to Douglas Hendricks, sent the day after I refused to co-sign the loan. We need a legal strategy to pressure her into cooperating. Guardianship might do it. An email from Patricia to her sister. I don't actually believe Sarah is a bad mother, but Richard really needs this money, and Sarah can make that happen if we push hard enough. A text from Rick to Patricia. The guardianship thing might blow up, but it buys us time. Either she signs or we get legal leverage. This wasn't concern. This was strategy. This was using the court system as a pressure tactic. Jennifer filed a motion to hold them in contempt. The judge who had already dismissed the case absolutely went nuclear. Judge Weiner issued an order that included 1. The guardianship petition was frivolous and filed in bad faith. 2. Patricia and Rick Maldonado were prohibited from filing any future petitions regarding Emma's custody without prior court approval. 3. They were ordered to pay attorney fees, Jennifer's fees, which came to nearly $9,000. 4. A formal warning was placed in their case file, and the judge stated that any future frivolous filings would result in sanctions. 5. A confidential mediation was ordered, with the goal of establishing boundaries and preventing future contact issues. Mediation happened 2 weeks later. Patricia was quiet the entire time. Rick kept trying to talk about business opportunities. The mediator just kept saying, "That's not what we're here to discuss." By the end of it, we had a signed agreement. Patricia and Rick would not contact me or attempt to contact Emma directly without my permission. They could request visits with Emma, but I had the right to approve or deny based on Emma's well-being. They would not post about Emma on social media without consent. They would not discuss custody or financial matters with Emma, and they would pay the attorney fees. I watched my mother sign that paper, and I actually felt something I didn't expect. Sadness, because that document wasn't about her. It was about what she'd become. It was about choosing a man and his business scheme over her grandchild's emotional safety. The mediator asked if I wanted to speak. I said, "Emma loves you, and you hurt her. Not on purpose, maybe, but you did. And I need you to understand that I'm not the problem here. You are, and I'm drawing a line to protect my daughter." My mother didn't respond. After the mediation agreement was signed, my life got very quiet. I went to work. I picked Emma up from school. I helped her with homework. I took her to soccer practice. I read her bedtime stories. She didn't ask about Patricia for a few weeks. Then one day, she asked if we could send her grandmother a drawing. I said yes. We made something beautiful. A sun, some butterflies, Emma's signature at the bottom. I put it in an envelope and mailed it to my mother's address with a note. "Emma wanted you to have this. She's doing great." 2 weeks later, a small package arrived for Emma. Inside was a book about butterflies and a note that said, "For my special granddaughter, love, Grandma." There was no apology, no acknowledgement of what had happened, just a gift and a hope that things could eventually be different. I showed it to Emma, and she was thrilled. She wanted to call Patricia and thank her. I said, "You can send her a card. Grandma is taking some time right now, but she loves you very much." That was partly true. I was protecting both of them, Emma from further manipulation, and Patricia from me saying something I'd regret. The legal case eventually closed out. I paid Jennifer's invoices. Patricia and Rick paid their portion of the fees. There was no custody modification, no new arrangement, just a legal record that documented exactly what had happened and why. I kept that file in a fireproof safe with all of Emma's important documents, because I'm a mother, I'm the adult, and I never, ever drop my guard when it comes to my child. It's been almost a year now. Patricia has maintained the terms of of the mediation agreement. She sends Emma a birthday gift. She sends a Christmas present. She's invited Emma to her house twice, and both times I've dropped Emma off and picked her up, and they've had supervised, time-limited visits. Emma comes home happy, but also normal, not overwhelmed, not confused, just a kid who spent an afternoon with her grandmother. Rick's business venture fell apart 6 months ago, by the way. Turns out some of his investors sued him for mismanagement. I heard through the grapevine that he stopped talking about the opportunity. My sister and I barely speak. She still doesn't really understand what happened. In her mind, I was being controlling, and my mother was being generous, and I just needed to get over it. We see each other at Christmas, and it's cordial, but the trust is gone. Jennifer and I still talk every few months just to check in. She's become kind of a mentor to me on the legal side of things. She always says, "You did this right. You documented. You got legal counsel. You didn't panic. You protected your kid." And Emma is thriving. She's in 2nd grade now. She has best friends. She reads at a level above her grade. She's funny and kind and completely secure in the knowledge that I love her more than anything in the world because I showed her, not with words, with actions, with boundaries, with the willingness to stand up to family and say, "No, this is not acceptable. Not for me and not for you." There's this thing people don't really talk about when it comes to family conflict. They talk about forgiveness. They talk about reconciliation. And those things matter. But what matters more is clarity. It's knowing where you stand. It's understanding that love doesn't mean accepting manipulation. And family doesn't mean you owe someone your boundaries. My mother tested a boundary. I held it. And the world didn't end. In fact, Emma's world got safer. If you've been through something like this, if your family has used guilt or leverage or social pressure to try to control you, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment. Tell me your story. Because I think a lot of people are dealing with this, and we don't talk about it enough. Thank you for listening to mine.